Welcome back to Money Mindset Mentors. We are so happy for you to be here today because we are doing an investment journey. We are going to take our sweet Amanda from start to finish, being able to go through what it takes to invest at the very beginning and then how to be able to go all the way from A to Z and all the things in between. And I think this is going to be an amazing experience. So for those of you at home who are thinking, I want to invest, but I'm a little nervous, I don't know how, I got a lot of questions, get your pen and paper because this is going to be for you. We're going to take you right through the process. And even though the process will take maybe a few months, we're going to be going through this with Amanda and being able to help her know what to do along that timeline. So you won't miss a thing. All right. Welcome back to our awesome Amanda and Rachel. And just by way of remembering, Amanda is a certified coach with Dave Ramsey Financials, and Rachel Jones has been for years a real estate agent and also an investor, and has several properties, is sitting in one of her properties, her cookie shop, and she is going to give us all the things. And let me tell you, this woman knows her stuff. So let's get started. Amanda, the first thing that we had kind of mentioned last week and talked about getting that vision of where you want to go. Where are you at with this vision and what's your ideal, so that I know that's the first place to start to give somebody an idea. This is what we want.
Yes. So my ideal is to have 5 properties. I know where I want them. I want to Airbnb them. And the purpose for these 5 properties is going to be to really gather families together. I want it to be a hub for my family. So when we're looking at yearly family vacations, as my kids are all flying the coop, who wants to do that, right? It's so good in the nest, but yet they're flying. And so I want to be able to have a gathering place for them, but knowing that we won't be gathering at that property all the time, I would also like to do Airbnbs. So that would be my ideal. I would like to also create passive income from this. I have passive income, that's what I'm looking at investing into this, like letting my passive income work for me a double time or a triple time. That's kind of where I'm at.
Beautiful. Rachel, any thoughts on that? And you want to hop up off mute?
Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah, I have some thoughts, Amanda. I think that's wonderful and amazing. I think that, gathering families and things like that is definitely an ideal situation. I would like to kind of just broaden your mind just a little bit and think, okay, what happens if I would like to get passive income, but I can't do like our family get-togethers at those same places? Would you still want to have those short-term rentals? And just think about this, like you don't have to answer it right now, but just kind of think about it, because here's the thing. What I have learned is that a lot of times you aren't going to be able to get that passive income that you want and have that vacation home in the same spot. Not saying that it can't happen, but just to, either one or the other typically works best. However, you could do like a bridge of it. So you could say, hey, we really want to have a family vacation home. And so we are looking to kind of help cover our costs, like part of the mortgage or part of, XYZ. And so as long as you are, kind of understanding that, like, that, hey, if I want to do both of these things, it might not be one or the other, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I even put up here like 5 or more, because my thought is these 5, I definitely do want vacations, but I also know that there's more out there that I could be doing as well to create that passive. So maybe they are 2 separate things, that I'm looking at.
I agree with that. I would say, hey, have 1 property or 2 or 3 properties that bring you that passive income, and then have the 1 property that you use just for your family. That's what I would recommend.
I love that. So that you're having the properties still do and fulfill the purpose that you want them to fulfill. And then you're not trying to have double expectations on properties that can't fulfill both of those things. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. I love that. Now, looking at that ideal and that purpose behind it and where you want to go with that, what is the reality right now? What are the things that you're looking at and saying, oh, this may hold me back, or this may be a problem, this may be an issue?
Yeah, so I want to start off with 2 big truths that I know, right? I'm going to start off with the truths that I keep going back to. I know that it's always a good time to invest in real estate. And I know the world would say, oh my gosh, right now is not the best time. But I know that that's not true, that there's always a good deal out there, and it's always a good time to invest in real estate. And I also know that there's no shortage, that there are houses everywhere, there are deals everywhere, and it's just getting in and looking. So I know that. I have taken the time to get my ducks in a row. So what I mean by that is, right now I currently have 4 streams of steady income coming in. I've eliminated all of my debt other than my mortgage. I have a healthy emergency fund that I've set up and set aside, that is for emergencies, and I don't touch that. I'm currently already investing 10% within the 401k and my 403b with my employer and my husband's employer. So we're currently already doing that. And then I'm starting to save to invest. So my other thought, what's holding me back, so those are the things that I know, those are the things that I've planned. What's holding me back is this fear of debt, right? Because I have worked so hard to eliminate that debt that I don't know if I'm okay to say, yeah, I'm ready to be $800,000 in debt, right? To purchase these properties. I don't know if I'm ready to do that at that point. And so I keep asking, is there a better way? Is there a better way that I can do that? The other thing that is holding me back is I want to protect my primary residence at all costs. And so I know a lot of people will say, well, just pull the equity out of there. You know, that causes me a lot of like nervous feelings, just because I don't ever want my primary residence and my 4 walls to be under attack ever. I don't ever want that to be on the line. So those are the things that are holding me back.
I love it. As you were talking at first, I was thinking about debt, and I love how you paid everything off. I love that. Now, I'd just like to suggest something different. As you've gone through this, you've learned a lot, right? So if you take a step back into the beginning of your journey, what did you know about debt, or what did you know about finances? What did you know about money, right? You know a heck of a lot more now than you did then, right? So I think that my personal opinion, I think that this process that you went through is amazing. You've learned a lot about money. You've learned how money works. You've learned how finances work. Now continue that journey. Continue and start to open your mind that there's there's good debt and there's bad debt. And if you look at it that way, then allow your money to work for you. So for example, I use my investment properties. I have loans on all of them. And the reason is because then I can keep the good debt. That's good debt. I have people paying those mortgages off. And so I'm able to keep more money into the investment world and building up my stockpile, building up those investments so that I can carry it forward.
I love that. And that leverage possibility where you're taking money that's kind of just sitting there, and you also cap it. So it's not that you're going to use all the money. You're going to keep a certain cap on each of those properties that you already own or have that loan on or whatever. The equity of that, you're going to keep a certain amount in there so that there's a healthy cap there. So you always know that you're not to the bone on that at all. You're just going to take what you can invest and feel good about it and sleep at night and say, yeah, I can afford that. You know, if anything went wonky, I could afford to lose that, but I can also see how I can invest that and it can be leveraged. And I'm thinking about it for my kids. I'm thinking for the future, how do I want them to be set up? And if I can take money now and invest it, then in 5-10 years, where is that investment going to be for them to recoup what that is and be able to have a springboard for a future thing for them? So I love that, because I love the point that you make. Wise debt, and there's good debt and bad debt. I think there's wise debt and foolish debt. And foolish debt is, you know, putting pizza on a credit card, right? But taking a resource that you have and being wise how much you take out of that loan and apply it to something else that's going to do the 2 talents, 5 talents, 10 talents, whatever, that it's going to keep generating for you. And it looks like it's going to do that well, that you do your portfolio, you do your research. Then I think that is what is a great point that you're making.
Absolutely. And I think to Connie's point about the equity that you leave in there. So, you know, I try to keep between 20 and 25% in all of my investment properties because, Amanda, I will tell you, the market changes. Absolutely. You can guarantee, you can bet on it. It is going to change. And so you're going to have ebbs and flows. And remember too, a good tip that I like to remember is that this is a marathon and it's not a sprint. So when you make a decision about your properties and your investments, you need to remember, hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Like, and it's like years and years, like 30, 40 years, you know. Can that be changed? Absolutely. But do not change on the dime just because the market changes. Like, do not do that, you know? So just remember that.
I would agree with that as well. Like I know that when you're looking at an investment, it has to be with long-term eyes. Like it has to be. And I know that the market changes. And so you're going to ride this up and down. That I'm totally good with all of that. My biggest setback, hold up, whatever.
Same thing.
Yeah, is this the equity of my home. Is that the best place to pull from, or is it not? Like would it be better for me just to get a whole new loan, right? And save up the 20% down, put down 20% and invest that way. And then that way I have my primary residence and I've not touched any of that.
I think that's a personal decision. Do I take money out of my primary residence? We do. We absolutely do. We're okay with that. Like we were talking about before, I do have equity in my home. And so when the market turns, we are going to be okay. Like we also have, you know, a buffer. So you were talking about your savings that you just don't touch. Well, at some point, you're probably going to have to put some of that money into an investment property. So I think using a HELOC on your personal home has to be a personal decision. You have to, like Connie said, you have to be able to sleep at night. And one thing I will tell you, I know you were mentioning like, when do you get in the market? When do you stay out of the market? I have purchased a lot of properties since 2020. We all know that this, 2020 was crazy. I actually have pretty good investments from that time period. So don't allow what is going on around you to make the decision for you. You need to do your research, and do your research with people that invest themselves, not people that are surrounding you that are just scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that reminds me of the advice that we received once from a very wise man who said, make sure you are going to primary sources and sources that know what's happening, right? Make sure you're going there instead of to somebody who has all of these fears and have no idea, but they have a lot of strong opinions. So I love that. Thank you. And that's why I reached out to you, is because I know that you are in this and you are living it on the daily. And that's why I wanted you to help walk me through this.
Well, thank you.
If I could add, at one point, I had the opportunity to work with a different investor, and it was a man. He was wonderful, but his style was so different than mine. It was very type 4. It was very, let's get in, let's do the deal. And he loved the deals and loved the machinations of the whole thing. And that's wonderful if that's, something that you love. I was trying to decide between him and working with Amy. And again, this is not in no diss in any way. It's just different personalities. But I think the thing I learned from that is work with an investor who gets your vision and works in a way that is sustainable for you. They'll fill your gaps for sure. You want someone who fills the gaps. You want someone who's 5 steps down the road, who's seen it and experienced it, and they have been successful at it. But I needed someone who was, as a mom, and who knew the situation that I was in, and who knew the concerns and fears and things like that were valid, that wouldn't just be kind of tromped over and say, yeah, well, that's risk. That's just business. That's just investing. That is not how that felt for me. I am responsible for my kids. And so I love that point that you bring up. Really choose the people that you invest with and make sure that they align with your vision, like the vision that you just shared, and your approach to doing it. Because a different personality will be more willing to take higher risks and will be more excited about that. And they sleep at night better because they're used to those things. But I have a different threshold for that. And I needed to move at a different pace. And that's why it was very helpful. And again, this is not a plug for Amy. This just look for people like this in your thing. But she would explain things to me and I didn't feel hesitant to ask or embarrassed or anything or awkward. She would just explain what this meant, and reading the sheets and all the how to compare properties. And we're going to talk about that next time, of how to compare properties. But I realized that I needed someone who could give me that guidance in a way that spoke the language the way that I could hear it. So I really invite you to consider working with someone that you can invest with, that it's not just a one-off, but this is hopefully a lifelong relationship. Hopefully this investor, this is what they love to do. And the way they go about it, you love that. You're comfortable with it. You can text them anytime. You feel like you've got this, you're almost like family. Like they want the best for you as much as you want the best for you and your family. So those are just some things that I think are helpful to consider.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
I also want to just put this out there too, as we're talking about this, that so my plan is this passive income. So I've already got some streams of passive income coming in. And my plan is I want to so I'm just in a really good place to start this, right? Because I've got my ducks in a row, because opportunities have come my way and I've stepped into those opportunities. I'm just in a really good place to start this journey. And so one thing that I've noticed is I want to use some of my passive income and I want it to work for me double time, right? So it's coming to me and I'm not doing anything with it. Well, I'm not doing anything for it. It's finding its way to me. It's my passive income. So it's coming to me once. But now what I want to do is I want to take that amount and I want to invest it. So that's the part where I'm like, okay, so this could be my monthly payment, right? Because if it, like you said, if something happened and I lost that, it would be okay. It's not taking away from what's supporting my family. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that's really smart. I mean, using your passive income, it's just no better thing. Making your money work for you while you're sleeping is an amazing tool. So I think that's so smart. And one other thought I had about just like using your primary home too, is just, oh shoot, now I just lost my train of thought. Of course. I mean, that's what happens when you have a million things going on in your head. So why don't we just move on? It will come back.
I do have a question. If it comes back, just pop that up. For people listening and they're like, okay, I don't have passive income and I don't have all these ducks in a row and I don't have these things, but I listened to the last one and I'm getting my ducks in a row. What could you suggest for a good piece to start creating that passive income or having something or leveraging? We talked about ideas last time. So if those are listening, go back and listen to that, of different ways that you could kind of find that money. But do you have any suggestions for people that are listening to say, this is a good first thing for you to do?
Yeah, I think, oh, go Amanda.
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Okay. So I think there's a lot of things that you can actually do. You can partner with people. You can, and that is so smart. Like for me right now, if someone were to come to me and be like, hey, I have time, I want to do this. Will you be the backer for me? And, you know, if they presented me with a property or with an investment that worked, I would be more than happy to do that because I don't have a lot of time. Whereas a new investor who doesn't maybe have a lot of the money yet, or, would be willing to do that for me. We could partner. The other thing is right now as the market is turning, you can go to sellers and you can say, hey, I would love to purchase your property. Would you be interested in being the bank for me? And so then you can create your own terms together with this seller. You can come and say, hey, this is what I have to offer. Would this work for you? And you try to figure out what it is that is motivating the seller to sell. And then that's a way that you can get in. So Amanda, what did you have to say?
Well, I'm going to share what I have to say, but I also want you to go a little deeper on, will you be the bank for me?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it. Actually, I have a property. We mentioned before that I own a motel. And so the reason that I really wanted to do seller financing is because it saves my credit. And what I mean by that is if you go to the bank, they're going to look and they're going to say, oh, you have X amount of debt. You can't, and we are not going to lend you anymore. And so all my properties, I try to do seller financing where the seller acts as the bank, right? So basically it's the same thing as the lender, except for when you go to get additional loans, that doesn't show up because it's not in a financial institution. So I make my payments to them. Everything goes through them. So if there's a problem, I reach out to him. I own it just like I do with the bank, but it's just with the seller. So it's really cool.
And do you use a sort of a contract that's just sort of like you write it together, or you use a template or?
Actually, what's really nice is that title companies will actually help you with this.
There you go.
So if you reach out to a title company, they will help you draw it up. Like I draw my own up now just because I know, but honestly, go to a title company and they will sit you down. They'll walk you through it, like what percentages you want to put down, how, you know, how much the payment should be. So for instance, let me give you an example. Typically, not typically, because seller financing can be whatever, but like if you have a 30-year loan, right, with a bank, typically you would pay that off within like 30 years or 15 or whatever. With a seller financing, typically one thing that comes with that is you're going to be paying it off faster. So the idea is that you're going to be paying it off within 5 to 10 years because that seller may want that big chunk of money at some point. And so they'll put, the title company will just ask you all those questions and then they just put them in the blanks and you have this contract that's ready to go and you can, you know, take it to the Secretary of State, get it stamped for approval, and you are so good to go. Let me tell you another little thing about why you might want to use seller financing. And this is a benefit for the seller. Think about it. When you sell a property, you have to pay taxes on the property, right? From the amount that you sold it for. So if you do seller financing, and let's say you just put like $10,000 down or $50,000 down, that's the amount that they're going to pay their taxes on. And then you're going to make those monthly increments. That's going to save them from having to pay that large amount of tax. So you just have to find out what the motivation is for that seller.
I love that. Thank you. That just like helps me so much. And I've been reading about that. I've been reading about seller finance. I've been reading a lot about, there was something else that you said, partnering. I'm finding somebody to partner and actually going in on a property together. And then you being the manager and you doing all of that while they are putting up the money up front, but yet you both make off of the profit. And so I loved that option as well. Passive income, I wanted to add to that really quick. Ladies, you have each been blessed with talents and gifts that are so incredible. And there are people out there who need your talents and your gifts, and find out what it is. For me, it was the ability to teach children who had dyslexia how to read. That is where I've generated my passive income from. It's been something that I am so passionate about. I absolutely love it. And it's a win-win, right? I'm providing the service that is changing life. It is changing the lives of the child. It's changing the lives of the parents. And it will continue to change lives for generations to come because reading opens up so many doors. And so that is a service that they're going to have to pay for, right? If they go out to find private tutoring, they're going to have to pay for that. So I've got the training. I am dyslexic, so I understand it. I'm able to slip into those shoes really easily. And I'm able to provide that. And I provide that at a really good cost, right? So then that way, it's a win-win for everybody. Like I'm getting that little bit of passive income. They're getting these amazing skills for their kids. And you guys have those within you. Maybe you teach piano and there are people looking for a piano teacher. Maybe you are really, really good with kids and you can say, hey, you know what? I could do a daycare. Start looking for those options and using the areas where it lights you on fire and you absolutely love to do, and they align with those talents and those gifts. And you will be amazed at what you will find that you can make money. There are 1,029 million ways to make passive income.
I love that. And I love what you said, especially when you feel, especially for women, to feel that purpose-driven thing of it, that I am helping. Think about all the lessons that your kids go through. I love that you brought up piano. You think about, I remember going to take my daughter to an art, a woman's house where her daughter taught art, her older daughter. So I would sit in the living room and I'm listening to what's going on, making sure all is well. And she's getting that art taught to her. And we still keep in touch with her. She was darling. And it was such a win-win where this girl was making her college money and my daughter was getting the lessons that I couldn't teach her. And I was also having time and I was learning a little bit and also having time to do some things where I was writing my books. So it was this beautiful win-win. And I love that you bring that up, that if you take just a minute and brainstorm 5 to 10 things that you love to do or have skills doing or something like that, take that time to brainstorm it. If you want a beautiful freebie, we will put it in the comments, but we have a free purpose course and it's 5 short videos and it has a download packet, and it will help you brainstorm these different purpose ideas of what you love to do, what your interests are, what the ways you've contributed, and then find that sweet spot of what it is that you could actually do. I hadn't intended to share this today, and I love this direction that we're going, because that really is such a fundamental piece of where do I find this money to invest that's not going to be a negative to my family. And I think that's beautiful. There's so many ways to do that, and it doesn't have to take over your life, but you can start being intentional about that and then saying, that's what I'm going to use this for, to better our situation in that investment way. Any last thoughts, sweet Rachel? Any other thoughts today before we wrap up?
Yeah. So I just want to throw out there, some people might be a little bit confused, because when we use the word passive income, a lot of people mean that as in they do absolutely nothing. So I just want to put that out there, that like a lot of these things you really have to work at for a while. And then once you get going, that's when you're going to see that passive income. So, you know, you can't just, it's not an easy thing, you guys. Like it's not, even if it is your passion, like I love the things that I do, I'm crying sometimes. Like it's really hard.
It's work.
You know?
Yeah.
It's work, but I love it and it fulfills me. And I like wake up in the morning ready to go, like every single morning, even if you have a super late night the night before, you know? So that's what I think I just wanted to clarify that, because some people might be like, that's not passive income.
And I love to say that too. Like my tutoring business, I have been developing it for 10 years, 10 years. And it was me for the longest time. And the way that it became passive is when I scaled and I went, okay, I need more people. And I started training tutors, right? And now I've got the tutors, and that's where my passive income comes from.
That's perfect. That's exactly what it is. So yeah. So
and when she means that, that is at this certain time, tutoring is going on, and she is not a part of that at all. She set the systems and the people, and they're doing that. So I love that clarity of starting something now that you'll be spearheading, but with the idea that you can actually turn it over or do an online course or do something in a way that will have other people involved, so that you're not directly doing it, but still receiving that income that you can utilize. Love it. Ladies, we covered so many juicy things. Amanda, any last thoughts from you today?
Yes, I just wanted to do my 3 takeaways and then ask for homework if there's anything I can do. So my 3 big takeaways are, first, to remember that the market is always changing. Second, I need to decide what it is that I can afford to lose if something were to happen. What am I okay with losing that I will be able to sleep at night? And then the next one is to really do my homework on good debt, bad debt, and be okay with what that means. So what fits right with me and my family? What are we going to define as good debt, and what are we going to define as bad debt, and how are we going to look at tackling that?
Love
that's amazing. That's amazing. And just there's a good place to look to kind of get started. It's Bigger Pockets, and it's online.
I just downloaded that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So they have a podcast, and they also have like a chat room. You can find so much information on there. It's amazing. Like, I mean, I think all my friends and family just get so annoyed with me because I'm always like, you know, it's amazing.
I love this, ladies. This is so inspiring. And what we love to do here is to have your questions come to us, or if you want to be spotlighted and say, hey, I'm doing this journey and this is the spot that I'm in and I'm not sure how to move forward. We'd love to help spotlight you or answer those questions and help you move forward, because we are women Anns and mom Anns, and being able to take care of the people that we love and do this on the side. This is not necessarily going to be, for a lot of us here, our full-time gig, but that's why we want to help. And those that are doing this full-time can help us be able to know how to do that and still keep the home fires burning first, so that we're staying focused and moving forward on the things that we're trying to do on the daily. So join us next time. We are going to be all together, and we're going to be having a popcorn share about properties and investment and all your Q&A questions. And then if you have some, we're going to have some that we want to share for top of mind things that we want you to know about investing, especially as a woman and mom. And all right. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Remember, take the next step in your money mindset journey.